slugs and snails have been a nightmare this year.
Yes.
And I know the Loving Your Garden group has been similarly infested with complaining about slugs
Well,
and
yeah.
snails. And there are lots of different solutions that people that have had success with and tried. And I guess you do what works. But the RHS did a fairly big study on this, didn't they? And certain things, the eggshells, various other things, don't work terribly well.
Yes, I must admit, Shirley, my dear wife, she put nut shells all round a dahlia, and basically, I think the slugs just went underneath.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, nice try, Shell.
Yeah. It
Oh, no.
didn't work, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
yeah,
beer traps can work, can be very,
yes,
very, very
absolutely.
effective. But
And
just
don't forget that slugs, they haven't got a shell. So slugs, there's quite a few slugs can go 18 inches deep into the soil.
yeah,
They bury that, they go through the soil as well and come up wherever they want to. It's getting back again, Rod, when we're looking at pests and diseases, is making sure those plants are healthy. If a healthy plant, a healthy person can get over, quite
oh,
a few problems.
yeah,
You can get away with colds and things when other people get them. And plants are the same. As soon as they're under stress, then they're open to they're open to attack by pests and diseases. They really are.
couple of the fungal infections we've got to mention. Roses are suffering with black spot because of all the wet, damp weather we had during the spring. A lot of
Yep.
spot about.
Yes, I mean, one year can be totally different to another. My Gura in the garden, I thought, I wonder what time in June it's going to be actually covered in mildew again. If it gets covered in mildew, I'm taking it out. It is spotless.
Wow.
We haven't got any mildew because of the conditions this year. It's just happened to be, and that's what happens each year. You know, you get late dampness, for instance, in the autumn. You look at little groundsel plants and they're covered in rust.
Yeah.
You walk around and you'll find groundsel covered in rust, and that's what happens. So at different times of the year, you're going to get different pests and diseases, and of course, so you get something like that. Best thing to do, although rusts and things are quite specific, is obviously keep the ground as clean as possible. Get leaves up. Check your plants every day. I'll say that's one thing for my dear wife. She goes round the roses every morning, dead heads, takes any leaves she sees, and they go in they go in the bin. That because obviously councils can get that stuff hot enough to kill all these pathogens.
I mean, that daily walk around the garden is so important. I mean, if you have the luxury of time, it's so important. I went to my son-in-law's last night, just to catch up with the grandkids, and the first, and it was like a magnet to me. I looked at their roses, and they were just covered in dead heads. And I said, "You've got to dead head your roses." Here's a pair of secateurs. We haven't had time, so I spent the next hour going.
Yeah, because as soon as our Simple Life, for instance, produces rose hips, and as soon as you start producing rose hips, they've done the job.
Yeah,
To produce seed, and you've got to keep going round. But when you're going round deadheading, you're always looking
yeah.
at the plant and the quality of it, and you can look down at the bottom and think, by gum, this plant could do with a good watering. And again, when we look at watering, just say, I'm going to give that plant a whole bucket full. Don't go round just a little tipple there and a little tipple there and a little tipple there. It's just not worth it. Give each plant a real good watering, and it'll last you a week. So if you've got 7 plants in your garden, you give them a good watering, one a night. Over that week, you're going round and giving them, and that will last them. but
Yeah.
a little tiny bit, a cupful, won't last them, and it won't do any good at all.
No.
And the other thing, Rod, is the last thing at night. Never go around last thing at night and just think, oh, my plants are lovely. They'd enjoy being cooled down. I'll just get the hose pipe out and spray them,
Yeah.
because that
Slugs,
is encouraging
snails.
slugs and snails.
Look at this.
Yeah, yippee! You know, it's perfect for them. Just don't do it. Just really don't do it.
While we're on slugs, we didn't mention slug pellets, and I think it is important that we do, because I'm seeing a lot of comments on the Facebook group about, oh, you mustn't use slug pellets and all the rest of it, and that was certainly the case with metaldehyde, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I know some people are dead against using any chemicals at all, and that's absolutely up to the individual's concern, no problem at all. But I think it's important to look at the science, and yes, there will always be a little bit of mistrust about the science. I get that, but the new style of slug pellets are considered to be pretty safe for
Yes.
wild.
Relative. Yeah.
There is I think there is a tiny question mark around earthworms, which is being investigated, but we're talking a very tiny percentage of concern around those. But you know, the pellets that people are saying, "Oh, my pet's going to be safe around slug pellets." The ones that are ferric phosphate, you know, a lot of testing has
Yeah.
been done and shown to be, you know, safe with pets. And
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's yeah. We've got. I didn't realize, but we've got, because the garden's now developed, we've got lots of toads, and I didn't realize how many toads we've got. I keep finding them all over the place, anywhere where it's damp. And you know, I look at the garden and think, can I cope with a bit of slug damage on the hostas? I don't like it. I like to see perfect leaves, but you know, from a distance, they still look fabulous, my hostas. And yeah, it's you know, decided. You can put copper bands and things round when you've got them growing in containers and stuff like that, or grease, or whatever you want to use. But in the garden, yeah, I look and think, no, you know, it's that plant's looking beautiful. It is. I'm getting the display off it. I don't really want to use anything. And this is a guy who used to work for a chemical company many years ago.
well, I mean, I generally don't use slug pellets because just because of the kind of garden I've got. I
Yeah.
don't really need them. But it is irritating when they chew things like lupins and stuff like that.
Yes.
But it's not the end of the world for me because of the variety of plants that I've got going. So yeah, I think it just depends on the gardener and
Yeah, with lupins, if you notice, the American lupin aphid, if you touch the plant, they all fall off and then climb back up again. Well, just tittle round with a hoe. That gets rid of about 2/3 of them, and then do it again later and hoe round the plant, and even that reduces, you know, the amount of damage. But yeah, it's just getting a balance. And yeah, and like we said, also you've got the roses now, Rod, where they've got fantastic health on some of the leaves of we both got sent from heaven.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, it's got no marks on it at all. Yeah.
No, I mean, there is a suggestion that after 3 or 4 years, that starts to wear off, and they might start to get a bit of. But I've not seen any evidence of it. The odd leaf, you know, whether it's got some sort of problem, but that soon comes off.
Well, perhaps we should, after 3 or 4 years, regenerate them. Cut one of those big old stems right back down to ground level. Get some nice new growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, just good husbandry is fabulous.